Yo, what's up guys, it's CJ, and today I'm going to go over every single artifact in Minecraft Dungeons and tell you guys my opinions on them, what some of them I think that I like, some of them I don't like, and at the very end I'm going to put together some combos, tell you guys some of the best combos to combine a bunch of artifacts. I'm going to tell you the combo of artifacts that I use personally, and it's really good for me, and I'm going to go over just every artifact, tell you pros and cons of using each one, why you should, because you only have 3 artifact slots, you know, those are precious, you want to make sure that you have the best artifacts in there. So let's get into it. We're going to go over the first artifact, which is the Boots of Swiftness. Now these Boots of Swiftness are they're really good. They're probably the best, arguably the best movement item in the game, because they make you move. They give you Swiftness, which is the fastest, it's the fastest speed effect in the game, and it only lasts 2.5 seconds, but there's a 5-second cooldown, so it recharges really quickly. Next up is the Ghost Cloak. With the Ghost Cloak, you briefly gain Ghost form, so it's like the Shadow Potion, similar to that. Basically, it makes it so you can phase through mobs, and you take less damage. And you also get a 14% speed boost. At least it's 14% speed boost with my level 104 one. So it's really good. I'd say it's also one of the best movement items, just for speedrunning, so that you can run really fast through all the mobs. So that one's also really good. Next is the Feather, the Light Feather. Basically, it makes it so that you can also, it gives you like a second roll, and so it has it. But when you land, so basically there's like a flip, right? And so when you land on the flip, it stuns for however long amount of time, which is actually really good. It stuns and it pushes enemies back a little bit. And since it has a 3-second cooldown, which is really quick, it's one of the quickest cooldowns in the game, and so you can spam that. The only thing is that if you already have a speed effect, like the Ghost Cloak, Mushroom, or the Boots, and you use the Light Feather, then it will actually make you go slower. So it's an iffy thing. It is really good though, because you can use it a lot. Next we have the Llama, which is spawned by the Wonderful Wheat. Now the Llama is actually, like, at first I wasn't sure if it was good or not, but then I actually tested it out and I found out that the Llama actually spits, so it's a projectile. It's actually really good, which I did not realize this. It shoots, and so if you're like a hunter kind of class, like if you've made your class out so that everything revolves around your bow, then this could actually be the pet for you, where like you stand back and shoot and stuff, and it's actually really good. It does a ton of damage. It'll do, at least for mine, it'll do 1,662 damage before it dies. So it lasts a certain amount of time and then it dies, or has a certain amount of health. And then next we have the Iron Golem, the Golem kit. Now the Golem is actually the highest health and does the most damage out of any pet, except that it attacks super slow. It's pretty tanky though, but it attacks pretty slow, and if it gets swarmed, then it's kind of done for. But it does have a nice like range of attack, so like area damage and stuff. Now next we have the Torment Quiver. I've seen some people do really good grinding, say the mushrooms, for XP levels, because the Torment Quiver gives you 3 arrows that can shoot through walls and through mobs, and so it goes through walls and mobs, does a ton of damage. It basically could knock them all back, kind of does damage over, like, just range damage. It does however much damage yours does. Mine does 1,000 damage, but it hits a bunch of people, so it'll hit all the enemies in a certain like distance in front of you for 1,000 damage. You can use it 3 times in a row, and so that's enough to kill most like lower like enemies, like normal skeletons or zombies. And if not, then you can go in with your normal bow after that and finish them off, or just go run in with any weapon, can one-tap them pretty much after that. Only thing is that it requires souls, so you need to kill enemies before you can use it first, which is a little annoying, but a lot of really good items require souls, so it makes sense. Next we have the Firework. Now the Firework Arrow is actually it's a really good item. It does some of the most damage out of any item that you can have. Especially if your bow has multi-shot and chain reaction, because then it can, if your Firework Arrow, if you shoot a Firework Arrow and multi-shot and chain reaction are engaged at the same time, multi-shot makes it so that it shoots 5 arrows. Then chain reaction means that each of those arrows, when they land, will spawn 5 arrows off of that. So that means you could have 25 firework arrows off. You could have 25 fireworks off of 1 arrow, and it only has 1 use, and it's 30-second cooldown, so it's kind of long to use in between. But at least for mine, does 4,000 damage, and so it does a ton of damage. It'll take a giant chunk out of whatever you're shooting at it. It'll one-shot most things. Certain bosses will take a big chunk out of it. If you have a bow with infinity on it, I have a friend who actually he has the infinity enchantment. He was able to get a firework, and the infinity works on firework arrows. So he had the infinity enchantment, and he was able to get a firework like almost 20 times in a row. He spammed the firework. It was amazing because like his infinity just kept working, and so infinity works with firework arrow. I think Infinity also works with Torment Quiver and the Flaming Quiver too, and so you can just keep spamming it. And so Firework Arrow is great on a bow that, like a super fast shooting bow that has like Infinity, Chain Reaction, and multi-shot. It's really good with those. Next we have the Totem of Regen. Now the Totem of Regen is a really good healing item. Now because the normal potion, a healing potion, has I think a 30-second cooldown. I think, could be a minute, I'm not 100% sure, but it's a really long cooldown, at least it feels really long. And so it's pretty necessary to have a second way to heal yourself, whether that's leeching Radiant or Radiance on one of your weapons, or most likely you're going to have an artifact. And so the Totem of Regen was actually one of my first artifacts that I used early on because it's really good. Only bad part is you have to stay in the same spot for a little while, but it does heal you for a bunch over time. And it's good because it can also heal your teammates. And so if a bunch of people, so this is a good item to be a team player, to help a bunch of people together at the same time. You can say your teammate's low, you can be like, hey, you can wait here, I'll go ahead, kill some mobs, and I'll come back and get you and stuff. So they can wait in the heal membrane or whatever. Next we have the fishing rod, which I haven't found the fishing rod to be super useful because like, I mean, its cooldown is really short. It's a 5-second cooldown and it stuns enemies and it pulls and pours you, which is kind of cool, but it only pulls one, I believe. Like, that's not super, I feel like that's not super good. Only really good scenario I could see it in is right here where you can say you're stuck in a spider web trap, you can fish them in and then hit them. But normally you could just bow them or like wait for them because they jump and attack you anyway. So it's not, I feel like the fishing rod isn't a super useful like unit or artifact or whatever. I feel like there's definitely better ones you could have in your inventory. If it's one of your first artifacts, because I believe it is one of the first artifacts you get, then it's worth using. But once you get better artifacts, it's pretty much just worth swapping out. Next we got the Shock Powder. Shock Powder is pretty good, 15-second cooldown, so it's pretty short, and it stuns nearby enemies. So you run up and it stuns them. For mine, it's 7.1 seconds, which is pretty long. So you can go up in a big group of people, and it will shot, and you use the artifact, and it shocks all of them. So they're stunned, so they can't move for like 7 seconds or however long yours is. And so for me, that's enough time for me to go around and just destroy them with my weapons, or maybe my crossbow or something like that. And so it's actually really good. Next up, we got the Love Medallion, which basically means that you can turn up to 3 hostile mobs into allies. So you run up and you press it, and then you use your artifact, and then some enemies can turn into allies, and they will damage. They'll deal damage for you for 10 seconds, and then they die. The thing that I found out is that certain enemies do not work with Love Medallion. So like enchanted bombs, I don't think work. I tried it on a Wraith, the ones that spawn blue fire. It didn't work on those. It worked on spiders, worked on skeletons and zombies, but it didn't work on any of like the harder mobs, which makes sense because then they'd be overpowered because it gives a damage boost to them. But this doesn't seem super good. I've seen some people use it good, but I think you're better off just using a pet for like instead of a Love Medallion. So like it seems okay, but there's definitely better alternatives, I feel like. Now next up we have the Gong of Weakening. The Gong of Weakening is pretty good. It weakens all the enemies around you, makes them deal less damage. As you can see here, this is the damage before they were weakened, and this is damage after. So it's a fairly significant change in damage where they will all enemies will in a certain radius will deal less damage. So it's also pretty good for like a team game too. So if you're playing with other people in your party, it'll help you deal less damage, or it'll help you keep your teammates alive and you alive by having the enemies deal less damage to you over time. It only lasts for a few seconds and it has a 20-second cooldown, but I feel like it's still pretty good because it can help your like teammates out and stuff, helps enemies do less damage and everything overall. Next we have the Flaming Quiver. These give you burning arrows. It'll only, unless if you use multi-shot or chain reaction, it only hits 1. It doesn't do like a area of effect kind of like arrow flaming thing. But it does burn over time, and so if you hit really an enemy with 1 flaming arrow, then it will just keep burning it until they die basically. I think it does go out over like after a little bit. I don't 100% know how flaming arrows work, but I feel like that's generally the way that they work. They seem pretty good, but it's not the best. There's obviously better alternatives, I'd say, like the Torment Quiver, stuff like that. And next we got the Tasty Bone. This spawns a wolf. The wolf is, at first I thought it was pretty good, and because it's it is the first pet, at least that I got. It's okay. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage. It attacks pretty slow. It doesn't have a whole lot of health. I'd say you're better off picking Iron Golem with a Llama if you wanted to go with a pet there. Next we got the Corrupted Beacon. This is actually really good. This was the first artifact that I got that requires souls. And it's basically, it spawns a laser beam that does like a ton of damage. Mine does almost 5,000 damage per second. And so it requires souls, but when you shoot it out, you can toggle it on and off to save your souls, and so it'll keep going until all your souls are ran out. So if you have a different item that requires souls, then I'd say you shouldn't have this, because then it will run out of your souls and it will just completely shred them all. Next we have the Harvester. When used, the Harvester releases souls in an explosion. So it requires souls again as the previous weapon, or as the previous item. It takes souls, and it does do a ton of damage. It can do up to, mine can do almost 5,000 damage, and it's an explosion, so it's in a radius. I feel like it's not super good though, because it's kind of a waste of souls. It can bounce them away. It can knock all the people away, so it does do multiple jobs of other artifacts in one, and it does decent amount of damage, but I feel like there's other alternatives. And also if you have, like, say I have the Imploding Bow, which explodes on impact, and so I can just shoot and it knocks them away anyway. And so I feel like there's better alternatives to the Harvester. It's fairly good. It's only like most souls items, it's only 1 second cooldown, but that's just because it requires souls, and so you use souls to kill enemies, but it normally won't kill them. It'll bring them down to bring down a third of their health, maybe bring down half their health, but it will rarely kill an enemy in one shot, is what it seems like. Next we have the Totem of Shielding. Now this Totem of Shielding is actually pretty good. I've seen some people use it fairly good. Towards the end game, it actually becomes really useful, because as they go on, what Mojang decided to do to make the game harder is they just added more ranged mobs, and so then you have to use your own ranged weapon, and you have to, if there's one part in Fiery Forge where it's just all crossbow evokers, and it's just ridiculous, or it's all crossbow illagers, and it's just ridiculous how much they're shooting you, and it sucks. It's ridiculous, because they'll just pelt you and then you can die right away, which has happened to me multiple times. But what the Totem of Shielding does is it only protects you against projectiles, so that means skeletons, crossbow illagers, stuff like that. It'll their arrows, projectiles, will not hit you, because it'll hit the dome that the Totem of Shielding spawns, and so it lasts for only a few seconds, but it's enough for you to stay in there and then kind of heal up. Say you had a Totem of Shielding combined with a Totem of Regen, and it can actually be pretty good. It's another team item. I wouldn't say to use it solo, but for teams, definitely worth it, especially if you go into places like Fiery Forge where there's a section that's only crossbow illagers, especially on Apocalypse 6, which is what I play on. So stuff like that, there's definitely, I feel like there's better alternatives for solo, but it's a fairly good item for teams on certain maps. Next we've got the Lightning Rod, and so me using this for this video was actually the first time I ever used it, and it's actually really cool. So it requires souls, but what happens is that when you use it, you get so wherever your mouse is, that's where the lightning will land. And so I think, and if you put your mouse directly on something, the lightning will follow it and will track and land directly on that mob or whatever, and so it can do a ton of damage. It has a chance to do a ton of damage. I believe it does more damage depending on more souls you have, so mine can do up to 6,200 damage, which is crazy. That's I think the most damage that any of my artifacts can use in one hit or whatever. Firework probably can do the most damage, but that's all circumstantial. So Lightning Rod it's a really good damage thing. It requires souls. I don't use it. I could see how it could be used good, but the radius that it lands in is actually really small. So I don't think it would be super good, because the only thing that could be good, that could fit in that small radius, would maybe be a boss. But against bosses, there's obviously other artifacts that are better. Next up, we got the Windhorn. Mine is only level 88 right now, because I got a level 102 one or something, and I accidentally salvaged it. But the Windhorn is actually pretty good. What the Windhorn does is it basically just pushes enemies away. That's all it does. It has a fairly small cooldown of 10 seconds. And I think the higher up you level it, the more blocks it pushes them away. But it's pretty good, especially for speedrunning, if you just run through. There are better things like the Ghost Cloak. Instead of pushing them away, you can just go through them. So there's better alternatives, but it is kind of nice at certain levels if they swarm you. Except if they swarm you though, if you have certain weapons that have radiance or something, you can just heal yourselves by comboing and stuff like that. Or certain area damage stuff will either push them away on your bow can push them away automatically with certain enchants and stuff, or you can get health or area damage from weapons. So I feel like it's a good artifact, but I wouldn't use it that often, only in certain circumstances. Now these next three are the three that I use pretty commonly. This is my loadout basically for artifacts. The first is the Iron Hide Amulet, and so right here you can see the damage difference between when I get hit without the Iron Hide Amulet on versus when I get hit with it on. So basically what the Iron Hide Amulet does is it provides a major boosted defense for a short time. So it lasts mine. I have a level 107, which isn't the highest. You can get up to 108. It's super rare, but it is one of the highest, basically one of the highest that you can get. So the Iron Hide Amulet lasts for 13 seconds. Mine lasts for 13.6 seconds, which is pretty long compared to the cooldown. So it lasts for about half the time of the cooldown, which is pretty nice. Since it majorly boosts your defense, it makes it so that you take way less damage. And so it makes it so you can be basically a tank without tanky armor. You can use, like for me, I use a robe, and it means that I can just tank for 13 seconds. And even after that I'll use what's next, the Soul Healer. So the Soul Healer is probably, in my opinion, the best healing item in the game. Like, now again, this is my opinion. Some people might prefer the Regen Totem or something like that, but for me, I like the Soul Healer. It's really good. It's the only soul item I use in my normal setup, and so it's pretty good because it heals based off of souls you get, and so the more kills you get, the more souls you get, the more healing you can get. And so my Soul Healer, when it's at max, so like when my souls are all the way at the top, I can heal myself for 2,200 3 times, which I only have, I think, around 6,000, just under 6,000 total HP. So I can get myself back to full if my soul bar is full. And because of the Soul Healer, I rarely ever use my potion, my health potion. I only use my health potion if I'm about to die or if my Soul Healer is out. So my health potion stays for emergencies only, and I use my Soul Healer a ton. Now it also helps that I have a combo weapon, daggers with Radiance, that always helps because it heals you a ton. But Soul Healer is, honestly, in my opinion, probably one of the top, I'd say probably top 5 best, maybe even top 3 best artifacts. Now, along with some of the top 3 best artifacts is the magical mushroom. Now this mushroom is actually insane. It's probably top 3, maybe even the best. The Death Cap mushroom, it's probably one of the best artifacts that you can possibly get, ever. You get at such an early level, and it's so good. It boosts attack speed and movement speed. It increases attack speed by a ton and movement speed by a little. Now, the attack, if it only increased attack speed, I would still have it as top 5, because the amount it increased attack speed is just insane. And it has the added bonus of increasing movement speed, which is just also insane. It lasts for 13.5 seconds, which is similar to my Iron Hide Amulet, so that I use them both at the same time, and it lasts pretty similar. And it has a 30-second cooldown, which is, the 30-second is the longest cooldown on an item or artifact. It might not be, I can't remember, but it's a pretty long cooldown. But it's worth it though, since it lasts for about half of the cooldown, and so it kind of evens out, I feel like. But this is how much it increases the attack speed by. So if you hold down left click when you're at the training range with the dummies, it'll attack as fast. Your character will attack as fast as it possibly can if you're holding down left click on the dummies. So this is as fast as I can attack with the combo weapons, my daggers, and then this is with the mushroom. It's so much faster. It's just insanely fast. This is with my claymore. Claymores are, I think, the slowest weapon in the game. They're super slow, but they deal a ton of damage. So this is without the mushroom, and this is with the mushroom. You see that it's such a big difference. And what I'll do is I'll just combo out a boss. So I'll pop the mushroom, which I really only need the mushroom, but the Iron Hide Amulet also helps, and so I'll just pop both of those, go straight in there, and I'll just destroy a boss. I've destroyed redstone golems in 5 to 10 seconds with both of those combined, using healing every once in a while, but Radiance just makes me, I don't die. So it's amazing. Death Cut Mushroom, easily one of the best artifacts. I suggest using it, but it's really only for the run and gun type characters, type setups. So for me, I like to run and gun. I like to go up. I have a crossbow that explodes all the people around me. It's perfect. But if you want to play more tactically, I wouldn't use it. It's really for people who just want to rush up and deal a ton of damage. Now onto the setups. So first off, I was talking about the setup a little bit before when we get into all the artifacts and stuff. But the setup that I like to use a lot, it is literally my favorite setup ever. It's amazing. Is the Iron Hide Amulet, the Soul Healer, and the Mushroom. Whenever I go out into a big group of people, I'll use the Mushroom and Iron Hide Amulet at the same time. The Iron Hide Amulet has a 25-second cooldown, and the Mushroom has a 30-second cooldown, so you have to wait a little bit for the Mushroom, but they have a very similar time when they both end. And so, I mean, that doesn't really matter a whole lot because I just wait for them to regen. But when you're using them, since they both last for like half the regen time, it's just insane because they both last for the same amount of time. You take way less damage and you attack way quicker, so you can just go off basically, and it's just insane. And then Soul Healer is just, and since you're attacking so quickly and taking so much less damage, you're collecting so many souls from killing all these mobs, and you can use the Soul Healer to heal yourself if you take any damage at all, even though since you're using the Iron Hide Amulet. So overall, I think this is, in my opinion, the best setup for running and gunning. If you just want to rush out with, like, say, a combo weapon or a high damage weapon, and then you just want to deal damage up in front combat, like mostly melee, then I suggest using this setup because it works for basically, it works for grinding, it works especially good for bosses with combo weapons and stuff. And so I'd say this is one of the best setups that you can use for running and gunning. Another really good setup, this is good for longer range stuff, is the Fire Arrows and the Torment Quiver. These are both really good bows and stuff. These are both really good like quivers for bows. Fire Arrows are fairly good. The Fire Arrows aren't the best, but if you combine Fire Arrows and the Torment Quiver, it's really good. The Torment Quiver itself is insane, but when you add Fire Arrows on top of that, make the enemies burn, does a ton of damage, and then you use the Torment Quiver, and it's just insane. You can combine that with anything else that you'd want for long range. Maybe you want like the Lightning Rod. I think I would put the Soul Healer with it just in case, just because you can never have enough healing in this game. It's always really useful and stuff. So yeah, that's for my long range setup. I wouldn't necessarily use this for long range, but you could also swap it out for Totem of Shielding, take less projectile stuff, projectile damage, and so it's pretty nice. Now another really good setup, this all depends if you have a really good bow. You have to have the right bow for this, like say the Harp crossbow that shoots a ton of projectiles, and then say infinity on a bow. But if you're going to go attack a boss, it could be nice to have the Iron Golem with the arrows, and then maybe the Mushroom to get up close after. Because if you have a bow that has infinity and multi-shot and chain reaction, all that stuff, and you have the Firework Arrow, then it will shoot a ton, make a ton of explosions. You can keep shooting it, make a ton more explosions as long as your infinity keeps working. And so it's super nice. It just destroys the boss's health. So this is really only good for boss fights though. You can use the Iron Golem to basically bait out the boss. So since the Iron Golem has so much health, the boss will keep attacking the Iron Golem. And then you can just keep going at that boss with your bow. You have to have a really good bow for this strategy though. And you can swap out the third one. The third one is a fairly debatable one. You can use a Mushroom to go in later on if you say run out of arrows, or you can use the Mushroom, swap the Mushroom out for say a Torment Quiver or like a Soul Healer. Maybe even like a projectile thing. If the boss shoots projectiles for long range, then you can use that, the Totem of Shielding. These are just some of the setups I can think of. I couldn't think of any more off the top of my head. Honestly, at the very end of the day though, what artifacts you use is up to you. It's up to your playstyle. You can completely customize them how you like. I'm just sharing some of my thoughts with some of the ones that I like. Some of the totems I said that I thought were really good, you might think that they're trash. That's just how it works. That's your opinion. You're entitled to have your own opinion and everything. And so it's all up to you. You're the one playing. You make the rules. You pick whatever loadout you like based on your playstyle. In Minecraft Dungeons, there's no classes, and so you make your own class. And so you might want to go for a long range, or maybe a close quarters combat kind of stuff, a berserker kind of thing, or you might want a combination of all of them. So it's all up to you what you want for your artifacts. Your artifacts are one of the main things that define what kind of class and character you choose. But keep in mind, I have every single artifact in the game on me, and so I can swap them out whenever I want. And so if you want to, you can do that. But if I salvage all the ones I didn't use, I'd probably have an extra couple thousand emeralds. But I don't think it's worth it just for all the emeralds. I think I prefer to have all of them on me, and it's also a cool collection. So thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next video. This video took a lot of time to make, so if you left a like and subscribe, maybe leave a comment, I would greatly appreciate it. I reply to every comment in the comments. And thanks for watching, everyone. Hope I'll see you guys in the next video.